Thank you for tuning in. Happy Sunday, and it's good to be here with everyone. I'll keep this short for my dear German friends. Let's see if I can cover everything within half an hour. And thank you for tuning in once again. Very happy to be back and alive, and happy to have you here as well. Before we start, I just have a message for those who are hurt, broken-hearted, probably at rock bottom in your lives. I know some of you are constantly struggling, and trust me, I know. We are wounded healers, many of us here. We've been through life, and many of our members here as well. We've been through tough times in our life, and what I want to tell you today is that when you're at rock bottom, it's the best place. It's the best place to build a strong foundation. No better place than when you're at rock bottom. So whatever you're going through now, I know it's difficult, and trust me, there are people out there who knows. You're not alone. Firstly, you must know that you're not alone. It's a painful world out there. People are struggling, not just in trading, but in any aspect of your life. All right, so if you're struggling and you happen to be here to hear this, know a few facts. And firstly is that you're not alone. You don't have to struggle alone. Know that there are people who have been through what you have been through, who have come off before and after you, and you have a sacred purpose to survive, to overcome, to help those that will come before and after you as well. And as I mentioned, this is the best place. Don't look at what you have lost. Don't look at what's ahead. And I advise you this. And if you remember, as I tell you, people who have survived will tell you this. This is the best advice that I've got when I had nothing. And that is just focus on making sure that you survive the night. That's all you got to worry about. All right, one foot ahead of the other. Just worry about today. Don't worry about tomorrow. Let tomorrow worry about itself. And God will take care of you. God will take care of what's ahead. All right, and wherever place you are at now, this place, if it's rock bottom, let me tell you, it's the best place to build a strong foundation. You are not in a bad place. You are not in a bad place. You are in the best place to build a strong foundation. All right, so you have to remember this. All right, and regardless what situation you are in, right, and if you're in a very bad place, you are in the best place now. Listen to me. Focus on surviving the day, the night. That's all you got to worry about. Come tomorrow morning. See me tomorrow morning, right? Check in. Check in the group. Check in the Discord. Check in the YouTube comments. Right? You have a duty to me as well. Right? Check in. Make sure I see you. And you survive the night. And you come back in the morning. And you continue your work. You continue your duty. You understand that, all right? Do that. Okay? We've got this. This is why we're here together. Hey, I'm alive, right? Hey, I'm alive. You should too. You should too. We should continue doing our hard work. There are times, we just have really stupid thoughts. Snap yourself out of it. Right, come, show up, and realize that there are people around you. That's all you got to worry about. Just show up, all right? Show up, survive the night. That's all you got to worry about. Okay, now let's get to work. I have I have to rush this for my German friends. You know why? I try my best, but hey, come back later if you have to. Right? Enjoy your day, right, with your mate, and it's a good time to have some fellowship with your friends. That's fine. That's why we have this video on demand. You can check back later. Now, I'll be sure that you will learn something new today. That's what I try to do. And if you have already had it figured out, you think, that's fine, right? This is why we continue to train and to remind ourselves and to refresh. And, you want to continually upgrade yourself when you're ahead. And when you're at that position, it's very enjoyable to learn. So you see, learning is great when you don't know, and learning is great when you know. So always have that attitude of learning, regardless of whether you know or you don't know. If you're ahead, learning is enjoyable, isn't it? So if you already know, enjoy it, right? Refresh, ask questions, more challenging questions even, for yourself, for me, for everyone else. And if you don't know, you will learn something new today. Right, so let's get it done. I will run through some of the Discord analysis, the live analysis that I made in conjunction with the charts. I will explain some of my thought process, so it's a little clearer for you. You can be able to learn something new, especially this week. I find this week was a fantastic week of learning, lots to cover, and I do have a list. You realize I'm live today, and partly because I'm spending lots of time resting after getting well again, not trying to push my luck and be irresponsible. So I'm trying to pace myself. Right, I had been irresponsible at work. Right, so work ethics is something that we have to balance, especially as we get older. And so for those that are striving really hard in your life, it's a good time to sit back, reconsider your balance of life. It's important here because many times we are burning the candles at both ends. We don't realize that. I'm a culprit of that, right? We burn the candles at both ends too fast, too quickly, and we're just spending future credits. So even though you and we may be very financially prudent and responsible. Right, for example, we don't spend future money, etc. But you do realize that we, especially the people who have very strong work ethics, we tend to burn the candle, and that's actually using future health, right? Future time that we may not enjoy in future. We may be robbing the time from our children and our loved ones, isn't it? So it's kind of a revelation for someone like me who I have to make ends meet since I was a little boy. It's tough, right? It's against the grains of my DNA. But we learn along the way, and it's easy for me to say that now, when things are better. So I can relate, when we had to really make ends meet. But good balance, a good plan. It's important. Right, especially if you're poor in health, like me sometimes, you do have to think beyond. So the secret, as I always tell you, keep your lifestyle frugal. That's the secret. And when you're frugal, right, and you're not overextending yourself financially, things become much easier. And this is an advice I would give everyone. You've heard this before. In trading, or in life, or in your friendships, or in your relationships, as long as you make time as your ally, you're going to do well, right? And when you have time as your ally, that means being honest, right? Because honesty will always prevail. So time becomes your ally if you're honest, right? And when you're above board, when you've got nothing to hide, time is your ally. Same thing with your health, right? Or frugality. Time becomes your ally. The more you save, time becomes your ally. And even in trading, and this is why options trading it's wretched. Because when you buy options, time is not your ally. How do you make time your ally in everything that you do? Yeah, remember that, right? Well, we start. Okay, now let's go. Let's start with Tuesday. It's quite simple. I came back on Tuesday, so Tuesday was quite a straightforward day. I just want to touch a few main points because I have a video running through day on Tuesday. I don't want to waste too much of your time, so I just run through the key points that I think was important. Now, the first thing on Tuesday, right? This is very common. You probably already know this, but I have to remind you again because it's worthy of reminder. I talked about this, about lacking a bullish control in the morning, right? So this was Tuesday at 9:45. It's as early as 9:45. You notice we lack bullish control because we just started grinding up in that sort of precision algorithm quite early on. Now, if this happens, if you're a newer trader, you will be very, very tempted to try to chase. You lose focus. So this is why losing focus is always a problem. When you lose focus, you have to revert to principles and rules. And this is why I always tell you, you must continue to have your principles and your rules of trading, right? And in our case, I always tell you to focus on identifying the algorithms and the structure. No structure, no trade. It's as simple as that. That's your principle. That's your trading principle. So when you have no structure, you have no trade. You don't worry about where the charts are going. So even if this was trending up for 3 points, no, you don't do anything about it, right? Because you understand that there is no structure. They're lacking a bullish control. It's not, the bulls are not controlling the liquidity to bring this further up. And, you know, the rest was history. We had a 20 points. Red day here. Intraday rate there, of course, right? Not including the gaps. 20 points. So there are a few things I want to talk about this, right? So incredible, right? Okay, the first thing I want to talk about this. I remember I have a video about this, the last uploaded video. I talked about this day, so you can check that later. I'm not going to repeat myself, but I want to talk about a few things in this particular day. The first is natural targets. Right, so let's talk about natural targets. Understand this. Why was it grinding up at the point in time? Now, it does not show this here because this is no longer live. But when it was live, and I know some members created a script where this remains live, right? So I appreciate that. I'm sure the scripts are shared in the groups. I don't know where particularly it is. Please do identify yourself if you have the script, but I like it like that, right? So it's not ideal for training purposes, but doing live trading, it really helps me. 5 day was here, right? So it was 20 day. It was coinciding together. You could tell from the screenshot here. Yeah, you could see it here. It was coinciding 5 and 20 day right here, right? So you'll notice that the market was just trending up to that natural target. So understanding when there was a natural target and the market's just grinding up there for the sellers to start selling. And I talked about the soaking of the sellers here, right? So this, that's right here, right? So read this again, right? So once again, end of day summary right here, just click this and you will be able to come to the analysis where I talked about some of the major checkpoints here, so you can understand that, right? Understanding how the natural target in this case, both bulls and bears want to get to this target. Understand that, right? The 5 day and the 20 day moving average, especially the sellers. So you notice there's no selling. When there's no selling, there is no controlled selling as well. So selling, you have your selling and controlled selling. Right, so the selling is obviously done by the bears and the controlled selling are done by the bulls. Right, so in both cases, you see the grind up because there is no selling. They will have decided to sell at that natural target. So understand the concept of natural target right there. Right, and obviously I will not talk about orange, even though we identified the orange liquidity here because I talked about that in the previous video. But the next thing I want to talk about, natural targets once again. And we have plenty of natural targets here on the way down. Right, this was a day where the natural targets become very, very good training material here. So I talked about the targets here. So once again, end of day summary. If we go to 9 June, for example, you see the comments here, the live. What's a live Discord analysis? I'm just running through them now, so it makes sense for you. When you see it live, it may not that make sense. So for example, 1016, right? So this was 1016. I talked about this here, 1016. Where I talked about, no, I missed it. Where was it? Oh my goodness. Yeah, the gap close to, yeah, this one. Right, so 1016 here, gap close to 739. 739, yeah. Yeah, so there was a gap close here. Right, so at this point here, you knew if the selling was to continue, the natural target was the gap close here. Right, and I had another target. We had plenty of targets here. The next was bottom Bollinger at the 730 level. Right, so this was at 1049 here, as you can see, 1049, which was here. This was 1049. And you see how it went to the 730 level as well. Once again, a natural target and one more natural target here, right? An unfilled gap here. So at 11:59, we talked about the unfilled gap to the 725, and just take a look. We went all the way to the 725 level, right? So knowing your levels are important, right? So knowing your gaps, knowing your Bollingers, and these are things you already know if you watch the videos enough. You watch my videos, you know where these natural targets are. So before you start trading, you have to identify all these targets, right? Put it down on a piece of paper or something like that, so you have an idea where these targets are, right? So when you understand this, that's great, right? But it only happens when it is a trend day. It's an easy day because it's a trend day. Now, trend days on average, this is not a statistics, this is just an observation. Probably once out of every 10 trading days, so maybe once every 2 weeks, we get a trend day, thereabouts on average. So it's not spread evenly, right? So on average, maybe once every 10 trading days, once every 2 weeks from my observation. So people who bet on trend days, right? If it's 1 out of 10, right? 1 out of 10 trading days. If you're betting on a trend day, you're going to lose 1 out of 10 times. You're going to lose 9 out of 10 times. You cannot be betting on trend days all the time. You understand, right? So don't be banking on trend days. You will be very, very sorely disappointed. And how much liquidity do you have? How solvent are you to be banking on trend days every single day? And that's the problem with some of your strategy. Some of your strategy depends on very huge risk to rewards, and your risk to rewards. You allow high risk by having incredible drawdowns, which is not smart, and you have to depend on high rewards by depending on trend days. It's lose-lose. You have a losing strategy. So don't be depending on trend days, but let me teach you how you should be capitalizing on trend days. Right. So firstly, if you're here long enough as well, the way you should make money is by precision algorithms, right? And we have plenty of them on trend days like that, right? Trend days, you have no short of precision algorithms showing up, right? So that's the first thing when you know a trend day is near. You will have plenty of precision algorithms showing up. So the first thing of how to identify a trend day is seeing that the precision algorithms show up. Precision algorithms, right? These are your money makers, don't forget. If you're day trading 0 day to expiry options, right? This is most important. Now, secondly, is you notice in trend days, you do not retest the previous low or the previous high. You don't. Right, so on cases like that, you know how to leave a runner, right? So this works when you're trading large contracts. So if you're trading 10 contracts, 20 contracts, it helps you. You can just leave maybe 10% of them, right? Leave 1 or 2 contracts left to get stopped at the previous high or the previous low, right? A previous low if it's trending up, obviously, and previous high if it's trending down, right? Just leave one open, right? That's your job. Just leave one open to get stopped at the previous high or the previous low, right? So this prevents you from over trading as well. It's a very good technique, right? Just leave 1 or 2 runners to let it run. You'd be surprised because 1 out of 10 times that 1 or 2 runner is going to make a lot of money for you. You understand that, right? So let it run. And the next one, and the next point that you have to understand is that you have to chart another, the dominant algorithm here. So on that day, I talked about the teal algorithm. I'm not going to search for it. I talked about the teal algorithm here. You can search it again. I remember talking about the teal, which was quite important because we managed to see the teal at work right here. Right, you see the teal at work here. Right, so this is not particularly a trend day as well because you notice afternoon we started bouncing up. Right, so as good as it gets. So I talked about the teal, and you see how the teal was still selling even the early days. Even the early hours here, you notice the teal was already dominant. So you already knew from the start that if it's not breaking the teal, it's not heading up. And when you understand that, you can use your teal to start guiding your runners, right? So you start charting teal together with effect of the previous high and previous low. So you notice you have so many levels to start planning your risks, right? Take a look, for example, like that. You still can manage your risk like that, right? And it's pretty good management of your risk if you have teal. So in this case, if you have 10 contracts, for example, right, you leave that 1 contract for the previous high or low. I'm sorry about my handwriting here. Previous high or low, right? Maybe you can leave maybe 1 or 2 runners based on your dominant algorithm. Right, so you protect more than half after the precision algorithm, and you leave some more runners to survive the dominant algorithm, and then you leave maybe a very small amount of runners for the previous high and low. Now, this is not the most advanced, because as I would always tell you, the best way to nurture your runners is to always reload. Take profits, reload, take profits, reload. I've talked about that in a previous training video. I will not talk about that here. But all I want to tell you is quite simply, on trend days, especially on Tuesday, this is what you need to be looking out for. Some tips and techniques. Practice. Now, the problem with trend days is that we don't have that frequency to practice this. As I mentioned, once out of every 10 days. So you have... Some of you struggle with trend days because you just lack practice. So practice on days, you can back test this on days, and you practice your thought process when you run through the replay of the charts from a previous day. Or the next time, you notice it's all just trading principles and rules, as I mentioned to you. Principles and rules. You can use the rules that I mentioned earlier for every single day. And when it's a trend day, it will work. When it's not, you get stopped out. That's it. You call it a day. Right? So understand how to be doing that. And if you're struggling on trend days, it's for good reason, because it doesn't happen that often. All right? So understand that. It's good. Tuesday, we're good to go. Let's go to Wednesday. All right. Now, let's talk about Wednesday. Now, Wednesday, I like Wednesday, because that's very important technique I want to teach you on Wednesday. Firstly, once again, Wednesday was about understanding the lack of bullish control. So once again, end of day summary here. You can click on Wednesday here. All right. Now, we were tapering earlier with that magenta. You saw that already. once again, do you notice we lacked that bullish control because we were just tapering? I mean, you see how penny perfect the magenta is, right? So once you saw the tapering that's already happening, right, you know that something going up with the orange and the magenta, right? So you see a beautiful wedge here, isn't it? And once the pink appeared, this pink was very important because this pink allowed you, where was that orange? That orange was here. Now, this pink algorithm or this bullish control here allowed you to manage your risks. I've talked about this a million times. If you are shorting this, you want an algorithm that's trending down to manage your risks. Isn't it? It makes sense. If you're shorting this, you want your stop loss target to be trending down. If your stop loss target is trending up and you're shorting this, then you are just getting decayed. So it's important, even though you identify, in this case, we identify the tapering. And this is why tapering is important. It's very dangerous. And I always tell you, tapering takes time. Don't rush this. And even if you miss tapering, that's absolutely fine. Right, so you see this. It's tapering. You can't short this. Not yet. Imagine shorting here. You will just get decayed and you will start panicking. You don't know when this will continue to trend up all the way. It can even trend up to the MAs before it starts going down. But when you noticed that the pink algorithm start to appear, right? Or in this case, the teal as well. The teal has started appearing. Now you can short this now because these trending down algorithms become your stop loss target if you're shorting this. You understand this? I talked about this as well in other training videos, and you know that already. Yeah, not new information for you. If you're in the Discord server, you've watched the other training videos, you know exactly what you're expecting from here. So tapering, a few ways to play this, right? So if you're able to wait for at least the algorithms to break, or it starts to show the stronger the precision algorithms. It's always the precision algorithms that becomes very useful. Now, I want you to study my trade here. Where's my trade? It's important you study my trade, right? I take trades sometimes so you can study them. Right here. 1045. Yeah, so once we broke out of the magenta, you see, once we broke out of the magenta, get into position and you see the precision algorithm starting to show. In this case, the teal and subsequently the blue starting to show as well. Now, let me zoom that in so you can see it better. Right. There you go. Right. Yep. So once you broke, especially with strong volume, right, you can see from the large candles. Now, this is hindsight, right? The volume mostly, right? What you want to be learning to see is during live trading, you see the velocity of the candles, the size of the candles, and from there you're able to judge the volume of the candle, right? So if you're just doing candlestick sight reading, or you're not looking at level 2, you're not looking at other data, right? Just to me, keep it simple, right? You don't. There is a lot more aptitude you need to add on data, so it doesn't. Referring to other data is not a linear progression in your trading. That's what I'm trying to say. Before you get to the next level of digesting more data to aid your trading, it may require a big leap in your aptitude, in your abilities, and that may not be efficient in learning, or if you're just a retail trader, it may not even be worth your time because a lot to unlearn and relearn. So keep it simple. We are not, well, I'm not a professional trader now, right? I don't work for people now. I don't have targets. I don't have KPIs I have to meet. And likewise, most of you are not. So keep it simple. Just trading principles to your goals. And once you achieve your goals, you call it a day, right? And I like it because I'm not under stress. Back then, have to force things to happen because we have to maintain a certain level of competency. So when things are not, and we have to maximize our capital utilization, which is terrible. Right now, I can choose to just use a small account and make some money and call it a day, and that's enjoyable, and no stress. But back then, you need to have that stress because people hire you to embody that stress to maximize the utilization of capital, which is something a retail trader don't have to worry about, right? So anyway, as I was saying this, right? So you have to pay close attention to the volume in this case. And when you eyeball the charts long enough, you practice long enough, you watch the replays long enough, you know this is a strong candle. And if you don't know, you wait for the retrace and just take a look how beautiful that retrace is. This is absolutely beautiful. And the retrace came with that blue algorithm and the teal algorithm as well. So this helped in managing the runners. Right, so for you, if you take the retrace here, I'm just going to zoom it right in. So if you see it breaking magenta for the first time, strong volume here, a retrace here, right? Let's say you take a put here, you would have plenty of runway to have protected your put. Protect it, and then you identify the precision, and you see if it continues down the precision. And this becomes a very clear, beautiful trade right there, right? Understanding that, right? And big part of understanding this is not to rush. If you're a newer trader here, you tend to anticipate the break. That's going to get you 9 out of 10 times in the negative way. So don't do that, right? Wait for breakout and retrace. It's always a better bet. And when you do that, you protect early. So once you protect it early, you can have the bandwidth and including the profits to manage the continuation and see whether it continues in your direction there. Right, so understand that. That's important. Right, we thereafter had the blue algorithm as well. So this is a beautiful day because of the blue algorithm showing up. Right, so once again, your money makers are always in the blue algorithm right there. Understand that, it becomes quite simple. Right, now, I had another trade, which was a zombie trade here. It's not great, but it's still a nice trade, right? And this happens after, usually, if you see it long enough, I've made trades like that many, many times, right? And that is when there's very strong action, the precision algorithm is sustained. And then when it starts to weaken and it breaks the precision, this usually means it's a very good zombie trade. It's a bounce. It's not a reversal. It's just a bounce. But it's good enough, right? If you're trading 0-day to expiry options, these opportunities are quite lucrative. So you got to be identifying them. It helps if you already caught the main direction. So all I'm doing is, well, obviously, if this is 100% of my position, I'm just probably going to take 25% of my profits and to try out a zombie, just to eke out a little bit more profits, isn't it? So it's a good proposition to maximize your gains if you already are ahead, right? So do introduce this into your trading, especially if you're an advanced trader already. You see opportunities like that happen a lot of times. A zombie trade immediately. And most importantly, you must have the discipline to know when to stop, right? So when you have that, this becomes a mainstay in your strategy as well. All right, so thank you very much. This was great. This is great, yeah. Okay, next one. Okay, this is important because I called it a day at that time, but some of you struggled after that, right? So once we had a large, right, what's going to happen here if you're a newer trader at this point here? Two things are going to happen, right? And if you're a newer trader, you will get burned both ways, because a novice trader will always think that the charts have to go up or go down. It's a very binary mentality. Do not deal with absolutes, all right? You're science fiction fan, only Siths deal with absolutes. I don't particularly agree with that, but hey, let me just use that here because it sounds cool. You think it has to go up or down, right? That's your struggle. And that's why you force trades. You think the market has to move. No, it doesn't. It doesn't have to. And that's your biggest mistake if you're trading. You think the market has to go up or go down. You worry about direction. You trade direction instead of finding profits in the charts, right? So now, here's the thing. I would tell you at this point here to look for structure. If there's no structure, there's no trade, right? So first thing first, we already identified magenta, and you see how beautiful magenta was, right? We double tapped it. It's beautiful, right? And you see how it's restricted as well at the top. And then we have the large red candles. Large red candles, it's also in the blue algorithm. So this is a viable trade. This is an absolutely viable trade here. Way down here like that, right? Breaking the magenta. If you shorted this here, this is beautiful. It's beautiful, right? Don't let hindsight break your momentum, right? On hindsight, you look, this is not a great short. No. Let me tell you, live trading, this is a great short. You would have made good enough profits just from this move here if you were to understand that magenta was in control. Yeah. So once again, hindsight trading, and most people are hindsight trading. Right? It's very different from live trading. And we are live trading. We are live trading here. Live analysis, live trades. It's very different. So you want to learn live trading, not learn hindsight trading, right? So be careful who you watch. There are lots of hindsight traders out there, right? It means nothing, right? It's you want to be learning live. That's how you learn. Right, so I'm just doing analysis of what I did live to help you understand a little better. Yeah, okay, anyway, back to this. You see magenta is in control, right? So this is great. This is a great short trade. And you would have already protected because it's great. Look at this wick here. It broke out and retraced. But if you do not follow the trading principles I tell you of protecting your trade and using precision algorithms as your guide, you will get caught, right? And this is where they kill most of the retail traders, right? They don't understand there's so much liquidity in the market. They can play you out both ways. That's what they do, right? So understand that. So if you shorted this is still a great trade. Absolutely beautiful trade. But because we identified the pink, you knew there was a pink algorithm that could be supporting that strength right there. And you see it for the rest of the day, right? So you see the pink algorithm here. So if you learned to see the pink algorithm, you would respect this. You would be able to find profits in the charts. The tragedy of a day like this are people who shorted this. Yeah, you shorted this here because of magenta. You got it right. And you just held on thinking this is going to go down and it goes back up and wipe out all your profits. That is the tragedy. Even you already have the pink algorithm in play. Or the other tragedy is if you went long here, beautiful, but you don't protect it by the pink algorithm. Why? And then it wipes out all your profits again. So once you're trading with hope, you're hoping it goes a singular direction or a trend day. Once again, it will always 9 out of 10 times disappoint you. You understand that, all right? So please never do that. So this is not a bad day because after which you see that the pink was just grinding down. You've seen grind ups and this is not unfamiliar to you. A typical grind down day, right? Understand this. But can you find profits in the charts? Absolutely. Let me show you. Do you see how with pink and magenta you could still find profits in the charts? And here's a tip. One way that I avoid trading is when there is no clear structure. Take a look at this. This is an absolute mess. If you cannot make sense of the algorithms, it's not because the algorithms are not working. It's because there is nothing to see and do here. That's my way of saying If you don't see anything, it doesn't exist. Stop hallucinating or stop trying to make things out. And that's why you don't trade, right? There are some very nice micro trades here, I do admit, right? Liquidity building here, right? Magenta still in control. I do have a trending down pink for me to short because once again, I reminded you, if it's trending down, it's good for your stop loss target to short this, right? So I would probably have shorted this here like that and captured just this, and I'm done, right? I will show you later because for the next day, I caught a trade just like that and it's good enough, right? You don't need to take large 10-point trades to feed your family. Always remember that. So you come to the trading floor without greed. You come with purpose, not greed, right? Many of us, in fact, not us, many traders out there, especially those who are just new to trading, they come to the trading floor with greed, not purpose. And that's why they lose money, right? It's very different. You have to focus on your purpose while you're here. And so therefore your trading principles and your rules are very defined because they are purposeful. All right. Yes, bounce off the pink is viable trade. Of course you can. Why is it viable? Remember, as I tell you, well, obviously you have confirmations on certain things, right? Once you know that, hey, it could be bouncing off here on the pink. But the other reason why it may be viable is because you have very clear stop loss targets, right? You can go long on pink, yes, but you have to be very careful because, as I mentioned, if it's grinding down, you're getting decayed, right, on your longs. So this may not always be the right way to do it. So how I would do it is, as I shown you, the break of certain precision algorithms, right? So you notice a strong precision algorithm, break on strong precision algorithm, right? So you capture this on the way up like that. You understand? Break of strong, and you catch the bounce. A zombie trade, as I always tell you, a zombie trade. Here as well, there's beautiful liquidity here. This is probably head and shoulder pattern. You would have already charted the magenta, right? To some extent. You capture this trade here, once again, strong blue. But there is no continuation. You caught the bounce here. So maybe just a couple of candles. That's still profits. You have to learn to find profits in the chart. I will show you in my next trade here. So on Wednesday, it's still a beautiful day if you allowed pink to trend down. How do you allow pink to trend down? The lesson from the previous day, remember, the dominant algorithm runner. You noticed, and the previous high. Once again, if you allow the runner to just run it down, you would have made it beautifully. It will still be beautiful. I taught you this before. It's much easier on the futures because you don't have to worry about the strike price. But I taught you this before in previous training videos, using the algorithms to judge how your strikes will be. So say you're here, right? Say you want to short here, right? So you want to buy puts here, for example. If you use the pink algorithm, right, you will most probably end up at 726 here by 3:30 p.m. So if you're taking puts here, try not to take anything less than 726 puts if you knew pink is going to sell down. You understand the logic behind this, using the algorithms to practice your strike choice. Now the problem with that day is that the IV was really high. The implied volatility was extremely high. So it may not be ideal for you to take a trade. I don't like holding a trade for 3 hours. I don't. Right? I like to get it done within the precision algorithm. But if you're holding a runner and if you're choosing strikes, you have to learn this. I talked about this in the first few training videos. Do check them out. I have a list in the Discord server, right? So do check them out. Understanding the dominant algorithm. So once again, using what I taught you, the dominant algorithm, you can also use that to choose your strikes. You can use that to open a runner and just keep it there. Right? Understand that. Very good. Now, I'm trying to get it quick. See you later, my German friends. All the best, yeah? All right, now let's go next. I just want to cover on Thursday. Now Thursday was a fun day. This was fun. I liked Thursday. Let me just quickly cover Thursday. Let's see. Okay, let's go. Now Thursday was quite a straightforward day because you saw Magenta building liquidity. Once again, nothing much to talk about here. You see Magenta building liquidity here. This was clear as day. So if you took this early trade here, this was beautiful, right? You also see that the teal was the dominant at this point until we start to bounce. Now, once again, you see beautiful head and shoulder pattern with Magenta. This was quite straightforward. You see the teal guiding as the dominant, selling on top of the blue. So whatever I talked about for the previous 2 days, you see it in action here. Right, so if you're shorting this, you use teal to manage your risks, and you use this blue as your money maker. And once again, once blue broke out from a major level 724, I talked about 724. I talked about that. Let me see, where did I talk about that? Here you go. All right, I talked about this. This was at 11 o'clock, right? 724, exactly when we reached there. This was a very important level. Look at my chart, always at 724. Now, when that happens here, right, you still can't take a zombie bounce. You still could have, once we broke the blue precision algorithm, you still could have taken the zombie bounce. It was still a very good trade. So everything that I talked about from the previous 2 days that I've shown you, you can do it here. Now, there's one trade I want to talk about that I took. I missed the morning, but I took a very small trade here. Just like that. 11:17. Let's see. I think it was here. Just this. Okay, let me just zoom that in so you can see it for yourself. I was using teal as my stops and Magenta. I knew Magenta could be in control. And so you have two resistances here when you're shorting this, isn't it? So this was very ideal. So my trade was just like that. Just this couple of candles here, like that. Right, like that. That's it. That's it. I made about $4,000 here. I think I opened 10 contracts, maybe 10 or 12. That's it. I protected it early. You notice I protected it literally less than a minute. And then you allowed it to have that few large red candles. Now, granted, I was very deep in the money. So my delta was very high. So the movement does help. So especially when the IV is really high, you're just trying to grab small movement. So you notice I usually take very deep in the money if I just want to capitalize on small movements, right? Get the profits quick and get out of the trading floor. So this is one strategy. You go high on your delta, you take your money, you quickly get out of there. But you need a lot of finesse for trades like that, because you notice very, very, very aggressive protection. That's firstly. You don't want to be losing money because high delta, there is downside as well if you get it wrong. Right, so when precision algorithm appears, that's my condition is precision algorithm must appear. Precision algorithm must appear. You must protect your trade aggressively. Take something high delta so you can have higher profits there. Likewise, if you're trading, if you're going very high delta, trading futures is not a bad idea as well. You can trading. If you're trading minis, this is also very lucrative, right? You don't have to necessarily be trading options. So practice, which is good for you, which is ideal for you. To me, I like the idea of counter slippage. I make more when the large red candles appear. When the large candles appear, I profit off slippages. So I like trading options because of that, right? But you need to have certain practice to that. If you're shorting and you see large red candles happen, that's when you can make most money, right? Because, it's the concept of slippage. So that's all. One small trade, and I was actually done for the day, until obviously the large green candles appear, right? If you were trying to trade this, you could still see the algorithms working its way, right? Because we have not closed the inverse cup, right? Teal was selling instead of blue. So some of you actually went long here because you saw the opportunity of a zombie trade. And so you got lucky, and that's great. Sometimes we get lucky, and that's fine. But don't always be dreaming about day trading, things like that. Dreaming, once again, as I always tell you, trend days, it's 1 out of 10 days. All right, times like that, obviously news candles, it's even rarer. So if you're always trying to stake a bet, hoping to catch moves like that, you will go bankrupt before you even realize it. Don't do that. Don't always be trying to chase this. A big part of the discipline of a trader is not to worry about this, and let me show you why. Because when this happened, this is information. You need to be neutral enough to know that this has nothing to do with you. It's like Elon Musk becoming a trillionaire. It's got nothing to do with you and me. But there are people out there with jealousy, with envy, and they try to project themselves thinking that, oh, how I wish I'm Elon Musk, how I wish I'm a trillionaire, whatever. It's information that's irrelevant to you and me. Likewise, this 10-point candle here is irrelevant to you and me if you're not in a trade. You get that, right? And so are a billion things that's happening in the world. Someone out there is starving. It's irrelevant to you and me because we don't know that person. Right? It's relevant to you if you're doing work, right? You're feeding people, you're running shelters. Yes, it's relevant to you because it's a data point that you can capture. But you get my point. A 10-point candle is irrelevant to you if you're not prepared for it. But this is information that you feed on now. It's a data point, right? And I caught a trade here. I want you to see that. The trade comes after. This is the psychology you need to understand now. We were already waiting for cups to close, right? So this is a beautiful cup all the way to the 5-day moving average. And you see beautiful controlled selling. This is controlled selling on top of the magenta. Look, magenta from resistance. This is resistance. Resist, turn into support. Can you see that? And we retested 5-day. Close the cup. As I told you, you have to let it close the cup. And a spillover cup is the best. This is the best kind of cup because it's spilled over to the 5-day. And you see teal building liquidity here. How good can this be, right? And you see, once again, we also bounced off the 5-day moving average. Plenty of opportunities for you to find profits right here. And I want you to see my trade. Even if you missed the 10-point candle. What happens? The reaction is yours to own, right? So you have to own your reaction. Some of you, after seeing this, lose focus. Then you got to train your mind. Some of you start chasing this and you put yourself in unnecessary risks. Then you got to train your mind. But you see, you prepare to pounce. Right, I didn't come back until only after 2, after we retested 5-day, right? So I didn't even care about this, and neither should you. It's irrelevant to you, always remember, right? Now, I only entered the trade around 2:30 here, once we started building liquidity and seeing the tight wedge that's forming with magenta and teal. Yeah, tight stops. You know it could be a bull flag. It's such cheap contract here. It's only $2. And just take a look, it went all the way to 14. 7 times. 7 times. So what if you miss this? This is 7 times. You understand? You trade as structured demands, and this is more than 7 times. This is just 7 times in terms of contract value. But my stops are even tighter because I have the magenta to manage my stops here. So my risk to rewards is probably even more than 700% because understanding my risks with magenta here, trading as structured demands, and then obviously protecting it early and then allowing it to run all the way, right? Because you know, obviously, this large green candle also constitute because of a positive catalyst. So what I want to tell you is, It truly doesn't matter. You have to train your mind. And when you're trading with people who have that sort of regimentation, that sort of system, and telling you it truly doesn't matter, you don't have to chase. People who know what they're doing, right? And we have many people here who know what they're doing. Learn from them, right? You don't have to learn from me. As I always tell you, we're always like a cascading ladder. That's the beauty of a community, right? Okay, say I'm here, right? I'm not at the top, obviously, right? There are people that are obviously better than me. Say I'm here, this is me, right? And this is you, right? Maybe it's hard for you to learn from me. Then you learn from someone here, and learn from someone here, learn from someone here, learn from someone here. You don't have to learn from someone better than you, right? Because better is a relative concept. What do you mean by better than me? In what measure? In what space? You can also learn from someone here as well, right? So that's the beauty of a ladder. We learn from each other. Sometimes you learn 2 steps ahead, right? Instead of learning too far out from someone that's way, way, way ahead. And what I can teach you, maybe someone has deconstructed it to a way that's easier for you to understand. Or it doesn't even have to do with ability. Maybe it's a language. Maybe that person explained it better than I do. Or he's able to see things that you see because he has been before or after you in terms of a learning process. So that's the beauty of a learning ladder, right? Cascading, we learn from each other. That's why we learn from each other. So that's what I'm trying to tell you. If you are trading in a signals group, this candles here will ruin everyone, right? Because you have chasers, you have people who have missed the boat and then they start to panic, they lose focus, they have no idea what to do, or they are so absolutely wrong that they double down, right? Imagine people who shorted this, and then when this green candle, they say, hey, double down, double down. You are in deep trouble when that happens, because these people have no principles. Their principle is to hope to be right. Their principle is to save face. You understand? Well, it's important you find the right place to learn the right things. And you notice, as I mentioned, so what this is, it doesn't matter. Find your profits in the charts. There are still profits in the charts, and plenty to find if you know what you're doing. All right, so do this responsibly. You know exactly what you need to be doing on the trading floor. We will come to the part about not following what you need to do. But nah, that one for next time. So beautiful day, isn't it? As I've shown you, it doesn't matter even if you missed big action. So what? So what? It doesn't matter. Now, Friday becomes very fun because of that. So let's talk about Friday. Another thing you need to learn about Friday. Now, I'm trying to rush this, right? Thank you for staying here. I'm trying to rush this because I have very condensed points I want to talk about. Let me just check my notes, make sure that I covered them so far. Okay, now let's go to the last one on Friday. Okay, Friday. Let's talk about Friday. Where's Friday? Yeah, Friday I just left a very simple instruction. Very simple, because this was quite straightforward. This was Friday, 8 o'clock, right? So 8 in the morning. I didn't trade on Friday. I don't have to, because I know it's probably going to start pinching itself in the moving averages. I said we are going to retest QQQ and SPY 20-day moving average, and true enough, we happened. Now the Q's 20-day was here. This was the QQQ 20-day, right? And this magenta is the SPY 20-day. You see it happen, right? We had a beautiful retest of 5-day once again, so that's even better. So 5-day retest, QQQ 20-day retest, SPY 20-day retest. Beautiful day. Absolutely beautiful, right? I wasn't there, so obviously the precision of your algorithms matter to manage your risk and your rewards, right? So you realize even with signals, you may not make money. So it's not about the signals, right? Even if I tell you, hey, we will get there, you may not make money. Because imagine going long here and then getting that sort of drawdown. You get what I mean. It doesn't matter where the charts are going, and you realize that, right? But if you put your skill in place, you chart your algorithms, you look for structure in the chart, you find profits in the chart, you can get very good rewards from that. Now, the next thing you need to learn on Friday is this. I talked about this. I said, in the event we get to safety in the MAs, all right, do not overtrade. Because, as you can see, once we retested the moving averages and we continue to stay within the wedge, look at the market. The market just died once we retested the moving averages. Now, this is known as indecision, right? Firstly, once we lack continuation structure, right, especially with the MA defining the range, this becomes really straightforward, right? And the market is indecisive from there. I've talked about this on Friday before. Intern candles, right? You see plenty of intern candles, and you see the intern candles in between the moving averages, and this is why you don't overtrade. So at this point here, once we've already retested the 5-day, once we've already retested the 20-day, what I would do, set alerts here. If it breaks out, then you can capitalize on it, right? Otherwise, there's just literally nothing to do, especially on a Friday. Go call it a day. Don't be overtrading this, right? So learning how to identify your next setup with the algorithms so you don't overtrade is very crucial to your long-term success. Right? Very beautiful. Okay, I'm done. Thank you for tuning in. I will prepare you. I'm not. Should I prepare you for next week? Let's see. Okay, let me take a 5 minutes break, right? I'll prepare you for next week. Give me a minute, yeah? So let's take a little short breather. We'll be back in 5 minutes at 1:30 p.m. EST. Okay, I'll be back. Give me 5 minutes. I'll take a short toilet break. All right, thank you for waiting. I'm back. Just a quick one now, just to prep you for the week. Gonna be a short week. Friday's a trading holiday, and Wednesday's FOMC announcement. So just keep that in mind. Wednesday's important. Let's take a look at the daily chart for now. Upper Bollinger retest, 5-day trending down, crossing below 20-day. You see 20-day rejection, and then we retest bottom Bollinger. Once again, another cycle right there. Absolutely beautiful. You've been following me for years. You see it happen all the time. If you've been just doing this, yeah, this is just easy, isn't it? Okay, trading is not easy, but you know what's easy? Trading is not easy. Yeah, don't be mistaken. But developing trading rules and developing trading principles become easy because you see the consistency of the rules that we create. So the consistency can become easy, not trading, right? So don't get mistaken and therefore get complacent yourself, right? So understand this, right? Upper Bollinger, bottom Bollinger, and now you see we're back to the 20-day moving average. Now, don't care about the news. I know there's lots of news now you see in the weekend, right? So many conflicting news. It doesn't matter. Remember I tell you, if you get a 10-point candle, it doesn't matter, right? So don't worry about it. Don't lose sleep over who's tweeting, whatever. It doesn't matter, right? So enjoy your weekend. I know there's lots of news now, conflicting news, and there are people out there who are just trying to find that perfect knowledge ahead of time. No, it doesn't matter, right? Life will be so stressful if you do that, right? You want a skill that will be able to help you to find profits in the charts. You must be in control, not someone else, right? If you're making money off someone else's tweets, you're not in control. You understand that, right? If you want to be victorious in life, you have to be in control, right? Obviously, God is in control, yes, but you get my point. You must be in control of what you do, your actions, your thoughts. You must be in control of your profits and your losses, your risks and your rewards. Understand that? Please? Yes. Anyway, we're back to the moving averages. Right smack in the middle of the 20-day moving average. It's going to move at 6 later, right, once the futures market opened, but it doesn't matter. It will be at the average, right? And we are defined by your upper and bottom, which is plateauing here. Beautiful, beautiful in time for Wednesday's FOMC, isn't it? If you're doing a strangle, a straddle, this is perfect. Right smack in the middle with the Bollingers plateauing. How beautiful is this? Right, so if you know what to do, you're just strangling or straddling, right? There are a few very key important things to pay attention to for FOMC, and I will prepare you on Tuesday because it's the first time that the new Fed chairman will be, making the announcement. So obviously the market is in anticipation of what's going on. There are lots of it's volatile, let me tell you, because the market don't even know. One day they're pricing for a price, they're pricing in for a rate hike for this year, and next day they are pricing no rate hikes for this year. So nobody knows. Well, I can't say nobody knows, but the market is it's a little undecided what's going to happen. So that creates volatility. That's why you have high IV. It's fun if you're day trading. So this is great, right? So that's why we have to be very careful, especially when we are back to the moving averages. You can wait for the news, right? If the Fed does provide more guidance, if they do. The problem with the Fed for the past few years is that they are always data dependent. So they are not they have always been indecisive. I wouldn't say indecisive. They've always been waiting for the next data, the data points to make decisions. So they have not been properly providing guidance. So let's see if guidance is being provided this time on Wednesday, and that will help to break out from the ranges from the bottom or the upper Bollinger. Right, so keep that in mind. Let's take a look at the 30-minute chart here. Nothing's changed, right? I mean, I warned you about this tapering algorithms here on Friday. Thursday, I think. I warned you that on Thursday. So that bounce was of no surprise, right? Because this was on Thursday here. Now just take a look. 30-minute chart. 9:32. Right, so here. I already warned you about this. So even orange was selling, I warned you about this green here. Right, so this is not new. That's why you see, hey, the bounce was not surprising. Doesn't mean that I predicted the bounce, but this bounce is not surprising. You can understand the principles behind it. Wait for cups to close. This is not new. 20-day, right? You see if the market wants to build more liquidity with the magenta algorithm here of 20-day like that. If this wants to go up. Be patient because you want to see 5-day continue to trend up and cross above 20-day if this truly wants to head up here. Right, so the crossover is quite important if this wants to grab the liquidity from this range here. And then, it's the same thing again, 5-day crossing above 20-day. And then if this upper Bollinger continues to trend up, you see 5-day trending up, this continues to go up like that, right? Same old, same old. However, be very careful here because you see that the blue actually was building liquidity too on top of that, selling. So pay close attention. This is a very important level. I talked about this level plenty of time. 724 yellow here. So just pay very close attention to that. You know who's selling, right? So previously you already saw orange and green. So if this wants to dump, there are particular sellers here in the market, right? It's always the orange and the green seller. So just pay close attention to that. If this wants to dump, you will not miss it. And likewise, until 5-day crosses above 20-day, you cannot be sure that this is heading up yet. So just be more mindful. You want to let the bulls soak up all the sellers of that 20-day first. 5-day coming up to build more liquidity, to build the bullish control on the way up. That's what you want if this goes up. So just be more mindful here of this particular liquidity here. I would very much prefer retesting, closing the cup near to that 724, seeing more structure here, and for the 5-day to start to catch up if this wants to head down. Now obviously Wednesday will be where the big action will be, so just keep in mind Wednesdays or Monday, Tuesday, do not overtrade. Focus on finding profits in the charts instead of worrying about big directions, and it will be fine. You will be able to find profits in the charts. Now if you missed the trading, I talked about a lot of ways you can find profits in the charts earlier, and I will be snipping some clips of today's trading. I will be unlisting it immediately. But I will be snipping some clips for YouTube followers, YouTube subscribers. So thank you for tuning in. And for members, it will be the full video on demand will be posted. So do check that out if you missed anything. Thank you for tuning in. I just want to thank you truly for your patience. Thank you for I'm happy to be back. YouTube is giving me a lot of problems, as you would know from my last video. So I'm trying to change some things. I will make it better. Obviously, change is not, it's always for the better. I will do better. But let's see how I can do better without subjecting myself to too much risks. Unnecessary risks, especially with YouTube. Because I don't think it's fair, but I'm not fighting it. I don't want to waste time fighting it. I have better things to do, to care for others, to worry about everyone else other than YouTube. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter to me, right? You can tell you can tell from the style I do my YouTube or my subscriber count. It doesn't matter to me, right? I'm using it as a channel to serve you. Using it as a way to serve you, and that's what I'm doing. I want to serve you. That's more important. So let me find better alternatives to do that, or a better way to do that more in the safer manner. I don't know. Give me time to think about it. I'm just back. I'm trying to mend my health as well. So I thank you for your prayers, for your kind wishes. I have many messages I have not replied. I know you texted me, a lot of you. I beg your pardon. Give me some time. Let me catch up on messages. While also having to worry about the daily duties that I have to fulfill to serve you as well. But remember, as I tell you, you have to prosper, you have to succeed, all right? That's your duty. Show up every day, do your hard work, and so will I, right? We work together, we get together to achieve our goals, right? But you have to be realistic and honest with yourself. Stop getting greedy, right? You have to be very realistic. I'm showing you the way to get there. There is a proper way to get there, and it involves steps. It involves taking things step by step systematically. There is a way to get there, but you need to follow the way instead of getting greedy and thinking you can jump steps. And for those who are struggling, my message to you at the start of the stream, remember, if you're at rock bottom, it's not a bad place, it's the best place. It's the best place to build a strong foundation. So worry about surviving the night. Worry about showing up the next day morning. I expect you to show up. I'm here waiting for you, all right? So do not give up, right? I'm waiting for you. Show up. Show me that you're showing up, and always keep striving ahead. All right, so anyway, thank you very much for watching. I will see you back in the Discord server, right? Yeah, I'm here. I'm back now. So thank you for waiting for me. Right. Thank you, everybody. Thank you very much for tuning in, right? And I'll see you closer to opening bell tomorrow. All right. Goodbye. Thank you.